Hi, everyone. Welcome to the openinPHL podcast. I'm your host, Carl.
And I'm Danielle.
And on this podcast, we share the stories of the artists, stores, restaurants, and other businesses that make Philly special.
On today's episode, we interview Brannon John, co-owner of Nocturnal Skateshop.
Nocturnal first opened its doors 20 years ago. Since then, it's at 2 locations. Now it sits at 6th and South Street. First started by professional skateboarder Carrie Getz, Nocturnal has been serving the skateboarders and non-skateboarders of Philadelphia with shoes, apparel, and skateboards. I was lucky enough to work at Nocturnal from 2013 to 2018. During that time, I learned how big an impact skate shops have in their local community as well as globally. Having skated since 2001, working at Nocturnal allowed me to work in a field that I've been enamored and borderline obsessed with. Through my time at Nocturnal, I was able to network, travel, and work in an atmosphere that didn't feel like a regular job. It felt better.
Today, Brannon talks with us about his connection to the skate community, what it's like running a skate shop in Philly, and how their business supports the broader community.
Brannon, what were some of the skate shops that you had around growing up?
As a kid, there was like a bike shop that had boards, like in the 80s, that I would go, that I got a couple boards from. And then quickly, as I got into high school, there started to be a shop it's Switch now, which it was called Homeroom, then it was called Slacker, then it was Sub-Zero. It was part of Sub-Zero, like a partnership with Sub-Zero in Philly, and then it became Switch. But it was all kinds of the same people working there or running things. And then that's eventually where me and Ben ended up working there while we were in college.
Where'd you go to college?
University of Delaware, which is like,
so right down the road,
just like
straight down.
It's just like that's my hometown, where I grew up, where that shop was that I grew up going to. And then I didn't really even try very hard in like getting into college. I just applied to there and went there because it was the convenient one. I assumed skateboarding was all I was going to worry about.
What made those skate shops growing up so interesting and unique? So if you had something else going on, what made those the ones that kept you interested in skating?
It's kind of like at that point, there weren't shops everywhere. We would drive 2 or 3 hours to find a skate park or find like another group of kids to go skate with. Like we had a gang of kids, whereas like every kid went to a different high school. It wasn't like how things are now. So it was just like kind of like whatever could build the community is what made skateboarding thrive. And we would drive to like North Jersey and New York for like little contests, and we would see the same crew of people like at all the different events, whichever direction we went. And so it was just like a way to build friends was through the shop.
And what brought you up north to Philly?
Pretty much the whole time I was in college, I would drive to Philly on the weekends to skate and see just Philly always had more of a scene going. There's more spots, more like videos being filmed, teams in town, all that kind of stuff. Just like a lot more going on with the scene in Philly. So that's where I've, since the mid 90s, have been coming to the city constantly. So that was just always a main place to go because there's so much going on.
And what did you study in Delaware at the university?
I have a business marketing and management degree, and I kind of always thought of going to college. I wanted to be able to have the most options of jobs, but also figure really any job you have, you're selling something or marketing something. Whether you're like a sociologist, you're still like selling something, trying to promote something, whether it's mental health or selling skateboards. You're always kind of trying to, how do you build a better representation of what you're involved in? So I figured like a marketing degree, business degree would allow me to do whatever I wanted. And I was always driven by skateboarding as my opportunity to see things, do things, and then figured I wanted to work within that community I'd been involved in.
What kind of businesses were you involved with before Nocturnal?
So that shop Switch in Delaware, like where I went to college, me and my partner ran that store. It essentially was out of business, and we started working there in college, and then turned it around, turned it into a job. I had an internship as part of my degree where I just made it up and signed off on it myself as my manager. um, just created the whole, like, we paid the bill, like paid the bills, did ordering, did everything at that store. So when we were done, kind of finished school, we started going on some job interviews and quickly realized, like, any job you apply for is they're asking you to build a client base, market to a whatever demographic, like start a business from scratch, but we'll only pay you all our rules. And we quickly just decided we wanted to open our own store. So we opened Kinetic in North Wilmington in 2002, and we actually both lived in Philly at the time. And would just drive. It's like 25 minutes south of Philly. So from 2002 until 2010, we were just running that shop, and actually opened another store in Haddonfield, New Jersey at the time. And that transitioned into getting involved with Nocturnal, who Nocturnal is on South Street, been a skate shop since 2000, and kind of just always was like a smaller run thing that just different people kind of always running things. No one was ever really, after the first couple of years, it kind of just floundered a bit. So things were in flux that we ended up getting involved so that we could kind of work with our other shop to leverage the two together and kind of make them more stable. So I've always been in those like in high school, I hung out at the skate shop every day. In college, I worked at the skate shop. When I graduated college, I went to a bank and got a loan to start my own skate shop. And all of that was just from our complete involvement in that community. It almost seemed like that was our best option. And even we were able to convince the bank that we knew what we were doing and got it started.
How did that initial proposition come into play? Were you asked to become a part of Nocturnal, or was this something that you sought out?
I've been friends with the original founder, was Kerry Getz, who was like big name pro skateboarder from Philadelphia. And he was kind of more and more involved, but had never been as directly involved with that business. And just, we realized it would work as a partnership to kind of keep it going. Like a skate shop, just a small little retail store, is pretty hard to be like a big sustaining thing, but it's key to the skateboard community, and the business is more about building community, doing community events, building skate parks. And that's what we really were involved in, and wanted to keep Nocturnal going as a kind of city, like iconic name of the skate shop in town. So we got involved, just kind of revitalize it, moved it to a better position on South Street, kind of help with the brands that it was able to carry, and just kind of help keep it alive and keep it going, as try and have it be a foundation of Philadelphia.
Were there any challenges that you came across as you became co-owner? I know that there was a move from side streets off of South Street, and then now being on South Street and being new to the skate shop as a whole. Were there any large challenges that you had?
It was more just a change of pace for the store, getting it onto a little bit better location, trying to hire and get employees that are a little more involved in the community, in the scene, try and help just kind of build its name back. It had kind of fallen apart for a while, and getting the community to trust that why and what we're doing. For the most part, it was kind of just taking business practices that we learned from our other store to help make things run better.
In addition to being affiliated with skateboarding, is there anything else that you look for in an employee for Nocturnal?
We try and find people that are motivated outside of just wanting to sit and, like, if they come to the store and say, hey, this job looks really easy, can I just sit here and watch videos and you pay me? We don't really care. And if you're really good at skating but that's it, that doesn't help either. Like, you have to want to be friends with the community. Like, the skate shop is not just your standard business where you're looking to sell things. You're looking to, like, build the community and build, like, trust and friendships and help plan events. Like, whenever interviewing a new employee, we're always asking them about, like, what event would you want to plan? What brands would you want to partner with? Why do you think the city could help from a skate park in this area, or anything that can really, like, help be motivated? Like, a lot of time, kids in college can be a better motivator, that they're looking to do bigger and better things. We've had a lot of employees over the years work for us and then go on to work in the industry for bigger brands, kind of use us as a stepping stone. And we always try and emphasize that. Sometimes it works better than others, but that's the goal. Is any employee we should not just be their summer job that fills some time. Like, we're hoping they get something out of it and they want to be involved with the whole community.
Thinking of the overall sales for Nocturnal, and sometimes this can be tough to differentiate since you have two shops. For Nocturnal specifically, what percentage would you say comes from apparel and shoes versus skateboards?
I think we're about, I would say maybe like a 40-45% is hard goods skateboards, and 40-45% is shoes. And then the other business is like apparel and accessories, which is actually a shift from most retail models, like heavily depend on apparel and think that like make a ton of their money off like just t-shirt and hat sales, where we've always struggled to make that a more dominant part of the business. It's more of the things that really like kind of burn out, like kids burn through skateboards, burn through shoes, so that's what has to be our focus. And we've also never been fashion designers. We're not trying to develop the next like fashion brand. We're trying to build like a community business that people want to support, because that we want to help support their events and kind of get the back and forth so people are happy to be involved.
And with the apparel, I know that Nocturnal's been doing their own apparel for a long time. What would you say has been the one kind of item Nocturnal has put on or branded that you thought wouldn't go that well, but ended up doing pretty well? So something Nocturnal branded that exceeded your expectations as far as a shirt, or I know that the apparel's grown. Was there anything specifically that really kind of blew your mind with how popular it became?
It's kind of like little designs will hit harder than you expect. Like, we just did like a No Limit Soldier t-shirt that sold out in minutes. And we like kind of made another small little run, but don't want to just like keep, like, if something sells well, it doesn't mean we want to just like keep making it a whole bunch and make it stale. So it's really cool to see an idea work really well, but at the same time we were shocked that it was such a hit right off the bat. It's always just like hit or miss, like what's the idea. Sometimes you think, like, we just did a run of hats where the one hat was supposed to be like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air colorway, and everybody thought that was the weak link colorway. But when we showed that story, it's the one that sold out the quickest. So just like, how can you make something relatable and make it interesting, and then people get excited about it.
I have a pair of nocturnal socks that I really enjoy. So I really appreciate your apparel, which kind of leads me to ask, what do you offer people who don't skate, might be on the periphery of the scene? Why should they come in?
Back to like percentages of how we sell things, like the way the store survives is probably 50% non-skateboarder. Like, either there's people who buy a skateboard and it lasts them 10 years and they ride it for a little bit and that's it, or they get shoes or the t-shirt or a hat and that stuff. It's very important to be like, we're not a secret club and we're cool guys that you're not allowed to come in our store. Like, we want it's like an open community to anyone who's interested. And we've become like, back to the question about employees, one of the things I've said to people a lot is like, the traditional failure of the skate shop is kids sitting there thinking they're so cool that they're too cool to help people that don't know about skating like they do. And it's more of, we're like a comic book shop and we're like the biggest nerds on the planet, and we should appreciate the fact that people are interested in what we do.
I love that.
So, in addition to a skate shop being a sense of community, what else makes shopping at a local skate shop such a unique experience? And are there any misconceptions that people have?
I think people are definitely intimidated by part of it is just like a large percentages of the clientele are just like younger. Definitely there's a male dominated group, but there's more and more women and all age groups involved. But there's kind of an intimidation that they're going to walk in the store and be heckled by those kids that think they're too cool. And it shouldn't be that way. But that's definitely something that we try and avoid and get the general public to feel comfortable that they can come hang out and see what it's all about.
So you guys are located on South Street. How do you see Nocturnal, its physical location, interacting with the community? How do you feel like that location helps your business or maybe hinders it?
South Street's traditionally been like, like if you go back to like the 70s, it was just like lots of like more like fringe stores, hippie shops, then like punk rock record stores, like that kind of vibe. I think I want South Street to get back. It's kind of fallen off and just sells bongs and plastic jewelry right now, but hopefully there's going to be a revitalization of kind of cool local stores that kind of have a little bit of a different vibe. And the skate shop, definitely over the last 10 years, there's become like chain mall stores that are very commercialized in a different way, where they're obviously just trying to sell whatever the flavor of the month is. And I like the idea of being on South Street, having some, like, for lack of a better word, just like edginess of the street is cool for where a skate shop can be. I think it's just like a destination. Like, malls are dying because they're a sterile destination. I think having a small retail store in like a vibrant area is going to have life to it.
Who are some of your favorite business neighbors?
Tattooed Moms is awesome to work with. They always want to do events with us. Just love the theme of their shop. There's Suplex up the street is kind of cool. They're like a resale sneaker shop, so they kind of have a crossover of some of the customers for like our Nike customers, and just do an interesting thing. It's cool. Like, Garland Letters is like the old hippie shop with a lion out front. Like, little kids and parents alike will walk down South Street and they know that place. Like, that's a really cool thing to see thrive and carry weight. That's the kind of thing like I want to see. Like, how can there be more stores down there that have been there for 20 years? Most of the stuff turns over much quicker than that. at this point, I think Nocturnal is coming along as one of the oldest brands on the street.
Nocturnal being one of the exclusive Nike SB shops in Philadelphia, you're also able to work with a lot of open releases for shoes and quick strikes. How has that affected the business overall, seeing this influx of sneaker people and Nike fans head towards the skate shop? Has that been a headache, or it's been okay?
It has its ups and downs. Nike as a brand to work with is pretty good. Like I think they work to help keep us in business. There's times where they've overloaded stores with product and really caused a lot of issues for skate shops. But at the same time, they're pretty good they control the faucet. Like if the demand, like if they turn it on too much, things won't sell. But if they dial it back right, then things sell really well, and it really helps keep the store healthy financially and able to run things. Sometimes it'll bring in new customers that never would have shopped with us, but they get excited about some of the nocturnal apparel we do, and that's a really good like crossover of just like bringing together different walks of life. There's also, when that demand is turned up, like they don't pump out as many shoes as people knocking on the door, so we'll have way more people come or call than there are shoes available. And sometimes those people act as if they're our best customer and they've never even shopped with us before, and they give us attitude, and it makes it hard to, when there is that big influx of phone calls or interest in something, sometimes it's hard to like talk to those people in the right way to get them to know what the store's about. They're on like a one track mind that kind of makes it difficult to deal with them sometimes. But overall, the Nike business is really good for, they're a crazy machine that can just control things, in a way that no one else has ever done in most industries, I would think.
During the pandemic, have you seen any challenges that have made you change your business strategy?
The pandemic is pretty much all challenges. So we've heavily tried to like get our store to have a online web presence, have it available online over the years, and it's really difficult. Like it's not that hard to sell something online, but it's really hard to make any money online because of the marketing dollars you have to spend or the discounting you have to do. The customers are not as loyal online. So during the pandemic, we were lined up when we couldn't open the doors. Everything was available online. So we were able to keep a fair amount of business moving because our local customers wanted to support the business and help where they could, and we could keep things they wanted available. And I think this changes us in good and bad ways to just make us focus on retail nowadays. It needs to be more of all levels. Like you need to be able to walk in the store and buy something. You need to be able to click on your Instagram and buy something and have it delivered or go pick it up. And you need to be able to go to the website and shop the whole store. And the back end work it takes to do that is much, much harder than the average consumer would expect. So this is just kind of giving us focus on how and what we should pay attention to, and how do we get our loyal customers to shop with us on all the different platforms that are available. And I think the pandemic has really like made us think about that on all levels.
How have you tried to translate the experience of just walking in the shop to an e-commerce environment?
That is the $1 million question. If you know how, you are going to be a millionaire. That's what everyone is trying to do. Like, I think it's Macy's hired the first, like one of the founding people of eBay to try and like help create that crossover platform. And that's like this mega iconic brand who's buying the old outdated guy paying him too much money to not do it. Like they're not going to succeed. But every business is trying to figure out that new piece of the puzzle. Like how do we engage people on all these different social media platforms and in your store and have it be cohesive across the brand. It's an ongoing, constant process that sometimes you think something will work really good and it completely flops, and sometimes you think you did a shit job on something else and it works great. So you, it's like got so many moving parts. It's really hard to chase, but it's constantly in the process.
It's all learning.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think virtual reality is going to help that transition as we try to make e-commerce similar to a walk-in to the store type of feel?
I don't know. I might be too old for it already. Maybe the next crew will. I played with some of those goggles with my nephews, with one of my nephews at Christmas, and I thought it was weird. like playing a video game that way, I was like, this is too much. Like in like a weird way. So I won't be the one to spearhead it because it doesn't resonate with me. But it may. My nephew who's 8, that may be what resonates with him for the rest of his life. So
You talked about Nike supporting your sales. I saw that Vans was running the Foot the Bill program during the COVID shutdown. So could you talk a little bit about how that benefited the shop and what that was all about?
Vans really brought a lot to the table to help shops. They did kind of helped everyone create their own kind of custom shoe they could sell, and proceeds from every sale goes back to the shop. That really, like, we were able to use our social media to help like our loyal customers supported it, helped out the shop in those times where we're trying to figure out how to get things moving again. Vans has been a really good partner in Philly, especially. They've been one of our favorite brands, partly because of we've had employees move up the ranks at Van really well. One of our early employees is way up the food chain in Van's marketing now. He has another one of our employees that's worked at the shop forever. He actually just turned pro skateboarding for Hops this year, has a pro model board on the wall, but he also works as Vans as a full-time employee, helping do marketing, we did an art contest, like a board graphic contest with the other shop. They helped us with the Foot the Bill shoe. They've made some big donations to the community in Philly. The Whitehall skate park in the north, I guess that's northeast or north Philly.
Section, yeah.
They paid to redo a big chunk of the skate park, revitalize that, so it's really good now. And then also we helped the middle school across the street start an all-girls skateboard club, and Vans helped get every one of those girls a pair of shoes and a skateboard of their own. And then all last year they were having skate club events and meetings, and kind of got a lot of kids that never would have thought they could have even tried skateboarding to get to experience it and have fun with it. And that's hopefully something we're going to keep going. Maybe get involved with some other community centers and schools. And Vans has really been helpful with partnership that way.
So, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to your former self when you were just starting off with the skate shop?
That's a deep one. I think it's about staying focused on, like, you can't ever do anything for money. You have to do it for a different reason. Like if you start just focusing on how do I sell more of this thing, people lose interest because you're just focused on selling things. Like the more you do, the more you're involved with events, the more you're involved with new products, special releases, and special things that really like involve the community for other reasons than to pay your rent, the more people want to be involved and the easier it is to not worry about paying your bill. um, and just stay focused on being like, be community driven, um, be involved at more levels than just, you can't have it be a job where you like clock in and clock out. Like you have to be involved with the community on the weekends, like having it be my like pastime all the time makes it work, that when they see me in the store they're not like, oh, who's this dude? Like they 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 trust who we're involved with.
What short-term and long-term goals do you have for Nocturnal?
uh Short term is just keep making it look better, more appealing, for more comfortable to people to come through and find cool stuff. um Long term, the small retail business is something that needs to survive forever and gets harder and harder with internet competition. So I think about things like, how can we figure out how to buy into a building so that we have apartments upstairs helping pay the rent, and that keeps us freed up money to do cool stuff and not stress on the business. Like, how do we grow the activity, grow the interest, grow the participation of people in what we're doing without just stressing on how do we pay for it? It's just the goal. Like, I want to cultivate more employees that kind of move through the ranks and go on and have a bigger and better job in bigger industry, or maybe they figure out those $1 million questions and they can hire me to work for them.
That's great. I say the same thing to my employees where I work. Like, I want their time with me, with the business, to be valuable to them in the long run. In 20 years, they can say that they learned something.
What upcoming things in the skate community do you want people to know about with Nocturnal?
So in June, the shop has been in business for 20 years. We had all kinds of custom, or like we had like some custom projects, like products, events, all kinds of stuff planned that have all been either messed up by the supply chain or uh, messed up by COVID gatherings. So we really like be on the lookout for like cool things we have going on that are coming a little later than we had hoped.
And where should people find out about these things happening?
So you can look on our Instagram, is Nocturnal Skate. Check our website, stop in the store. We kind of always have stuff going on. Instagram's probably where we put the most info the most often. We partner with the skate shop we had started down in Delaware, that's Kinetic Skateboarding. We do a lot of events together. We do a lot of cross promoting. So check us out.
We're going to conclude with some fast Philly questions. It won't take too much time. You won't have to go into a lot of detail with them. They can be on South Street. They could be in Bridesburg. They could be in Chestnut Hill. Chestnut Hill's in Philly, right? If you got an answer and want to go into it, go for it. If not, we'll keep it going. Favorite coffee spot? And I know you drink coffee, so.
I drink too much. I like Ultimo. I like Rival Brothers.
Favorite Philly-based movie or TV show?
Always Sunny in Philadelphia is a good one. I just watched 12 Monkeys when the pandemic hit. That one's pretty good.
Favorite museum or attraction in Philly?
African American History Museum. And you can skate the Afro Banks.
Favorite Philly neighborhood?
I live in Graduate Hospital. I love it here.
What should happen to the Rizzo statue?
Break it down, burn it. Dude's a rapist.
Brannon, is there anything else you want people to know?
I can promote myself my other way. So part of my evolution of my career is as being the old nerd behind the counter. The older I get, the less cool I get. But part of that equation is I've been working with knowing some of my customers for 15 or 20 years, and they're buying houses now. So I sell houses as my more of my full-time job as I bring up the younger kids to run the stores, um, and work in real estate. And that's part of my interest in. And that all started from trying to figure out how to get a building so the stores can survive forever if they own the buildings they're in. Um, so I work in a lot of different directions all the time. Uh, the skate shop is amazing, but has limitations, I guess, as your to make your living from. So you always got to do some different things, and how do you cross them all together?
And that concludes our first interview. Carl, how do you think it went?
Talking to Brandon's always a treat. Having worked with him for 5 years, it's been a pleasure. He also sold me my house too. So if you're in the market for anything skating related or real estate related, hit up Brannon John.
Yeah, I'm very appreciative to him for selling you this house that we live in. It was also really cool to learn more about the shop and its origins.
Especially how he came into play. Knowing him and knowing his history with skating, he was sponsored and rode for several different companies. It was cool to hear where he started and what he sees for Nocturnal in the future.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to our first episode.
Thank you for coping with us as we worked through any tech difficulties that came up, and on the sidelines, they did happen. If you are interested in reaching out to us on Instagram, you can find us at openinPHL pod. If you want to send us an email with any suggestions you have or other people in the Philadelphia area you would want interviewed, or just to comment and shout out, you can hit us up at openinphlpod@gmail.com.
All right, great. I'm going to go eat a salad.
I'm going to go return some videotapes.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.